Chapter 31 Miracle at Yaofeng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mr. Wang finished the story of the dagger with a hint of sadness, clearly still affected by it. Lin Yi was surprised to learn about the dagger's past. Mr. Wang looked at Lin Yi. Now you need to seriously consider whether you still want this dagger. Don't answer impulsively. Think it through. If you choose it, you can't let it go to waste. Our ancestor paid the ultimate price for it. Lin Yi felt a huge weight on his shoulders. The dagger was tied to the ancestor, who had risked his life for it. How could he not feel the pressure? But Lin Yi didn't hesitate. He felt a connection, a sense of destiny with the dagger. It radiated spiritual energy, and if the tomb's owner cherished it so much, it must be extraordinary. He wouldn't regret choosing it. Passing it up might mean missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With firm eyes and without hesitation, Lin Yi said, "Mr. Wang, I still want the dagger. It's meant for me. I swear I'll never dishonor it." Mr. Wang handed Lin Yi the dagger. "I hope you keep your word. Now, go on." "Thank you, Mr. Wang. How much do I owe you?" "No need to thank me, just be grateful to our ancestor. The dagger was meant for the sect's chosen one. There are no strings attached." "Mr. Wang, I have a question. I'm not sure if I should ask." Mr. Wang seemed to anticipate Lin Yi's question. "You want to know why I'm recommending you?" "It's because I have an unused spot." Lin Yi looked at Mr. Wang, shocked. "Mr. Wang, are you the former sect leader?" Mr. Wang smiled, said nothing, closed his eyes again, and waved Lin Yi away. Clutching the dagger, Lin Yi left the weapon pavilion and headed down Weapon Peak. He wanted to rush back to Medicine Peak to study the blade, but seeing the late hour, he decided to first make good on his promise to address the disciples' physical ailments at the trading area. A promise was a promise. Lin Yi walked toward the trading area. When he arrived, he was stunned. The place was packed. He listened to their descriptions and treated them one by one. By the time he returned to Medicine Peak, it was very late, but Lin Yi wasn't impatient. Back at Medicine Peak, Lin Yi eagerly pulled out the dagger and examined it closely. The more he looked, the more satisfied he became, the more extraordinary it seemed. But that was it. He couldn't fully understand it, the spiritual energy he'd felt earlier hadn't returned, and he didn't know when it would or even if it would. Lin Yi felt frustrated, like having a treasure chest he couldn't open. Suddenly, Lin Yi wondered, what if he dripped blood on it? Would it react? Lin Yi cut his fingertip, and a drop of blood fell on the dagger. He watched intently for any change, but even after the blood dried, nothing happened. Could it be that doesn't work? He couldn't help feeling disappointed. Maybe ordinary blood wasn't enough. Maybe it needed blood essence. Lin Yi felt a twinge just thinking about it. Blood essence was the body's purest blood. If the dagger still didn't react, it would be a huge loss, but he had to try. He was out of options. Even if it failed, he wouldn't regret it. He dripped blood essence onto the sword. This time, the essence vanished the instant it touched the dagger. Slowly, the dagger began to glow, growing hotter and brighter until it seemed ready to light up the entire Medicine Peak. This strange event on Medicine Peak drew the attention of all the disciples. "What's going on? Why is it shining so brightly?" "I have no idea." The disciples were buzzing. "It seems to be coming from Medicine Peak. Isn't that where Senior Brother Lin is? Did Senior Brother Lin Yi whip up a special potion?" Soon, many disciples had gathered at the foot of Medicine Peak, but none dared to climb it. Medicine Peak was a restricted area, and violations were severely punished. However, a few disciples were on the verge of ignoring the rules, overcome by curiosity. Suddenly, a roar echoed from behind. "How dare you! Medicine Peak is off limits. No one enters without Elder Fei's permission. Do you intend to break the sect's rules?" The disciples turned to see a middle-aged man glaring at them. One of them recognized him. "Disciple greets the sect leader," that the others finally realized who it was and quickly paid their respects. Disciple greets the sect leader, that the disciples who had planned to climb Medicine Peak now wished they could disappear. Why couldn't they control themselves? As far as they knew, rule breakers were severely punished. Now, all they could do was hope for leniency. Several disciples looked terrified as they rushed to sect leader Fu. Disciple greets the sect leader, that sect leader Fu's face was ashen. Do you know that Medicine Peak is off limits? Sect leader, please forgive us. We understand our mistake. They replied, trembling. Knowing it's a restricted area and barging in anyway, completely disregarding the sect's rules. What good are disciples like you? Today you disrespect the rules, tomorrow, you'll disrespect the sect itself. Has the sect invested so much time and resources just to raise ungrateful rebels? If everyone were like you, the sect would crumble. How could you face our predecessors after death? That the sect leader's words crushed the disciples' hopes. Leniency was impossible. Only judgment awaited them. These disciples have seriously violated the sect's rules and set a terrible example. They are hereby expelled from the sect and will never be allowed to return. Sect Master Fu's voice left no room for doubt. At that moment, several elders rushed over. No one dared to speak, to plead, or to show mercy. Sect Master Fu turned to an old man and said, Elder Shao, I'm leaving this to you. Escort them off the mountain immediately. Elder Shao stepped forward. Yes, Sect Master. Hearing their punishment, the disciples turned pale. They hadn't expected it to be so severe. Expulsion. Their eyes glazed over, and they were like zombies. Elder Shao led them away. Even as they left, they didn't react or beg for mercy. After the disciples were gone, sect leader Fu said, let this be a lesson to you all. The sect's rules cannot be broken. There's a line you cannot cross, or you will face severe punishment. I also hope that all the elders and disciples present will work together to make Qingmen stronger. Sect leader, we understand, that everyone answered in unison. Don't spread news about today's events. Dismissed. Chapter 32 Purple Sun Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The vision around Yaofeng Peak had vanished, but its impact lingered. The elders and disciples had dispersed, leaving only Sect Master Fu, still gazing towards Yaofeng. Deep in thought, an old man approached slowly, stopping at the base of the peak. Sect Master Fu turned, greeted him with a bow, Mr. Wang, you're here too. Mr. Wang nodded, his gaze fixed on Yaofeng. He sighed, so, after all these years, its true glory has finally emerged. Sect leader Fu looked surprised. Mr. Wang seemed to know the reason for the strange events. Mr. Wang, do you know why the vision occurred? Lin Yi visited the armory pavilion today. He picked that sword, the one the founder brought back. I believe tonight's vision originated from it. It's a shame the founder couldn't witness this. Mr. Wang kept looking at Yaofeng as he spoke. Sect leader Fu was stunned. He hadn't expected the secret of that ancient sword, hidden for centuries, to be revealed by a Yaofeng disciple. Could this be destiny at play? A new worry quickly surfaced in sect leader Fu's mind. The vision at Yaofeng would spread like wildfire, causing an uproar. Maybe. I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse for our sect. Blessing or curse, we must prepare for anything. Let's go. Mr. Wang urged. Mr. Wang is right. Whatever storms may come, Qingmen will weather them. The strange events at Yaofeng sent ripples of excitement through Qingmen, but Lin Yi was oblivious. He was still reeling from the changes. The ancient blade had transformed into a 3-foot 3-inch long sword, its length now adjustable with a mere thought. He felt a deep connection to the sword, as if it were a part of him. With another thought, the sword vanished into his dantian. The moment the sword recognized him as its master, a voice echoed in his mind, Fated One, this is a fragment of will attached to the sword, my true body has long perished. I am the Yin-Yang Taoist. This is my natal weapon, the Ziyang sword. The Ziyang sword is one of a pair, the other being the Ziyin sword. Each primary sword has 5 subswords, forming the yin-yang 5-element sword formation, a power I use to dominate the cultivation world. Alas, claiming the full potential of this sword formation is impossible. I faced an enemy beyond imagination. In the fight, the Ziyin sword and other subswords were damaged, and the Ziyang sword was nearly destroyed. Its rank has plummeted, but it's still a great weapon for you. To improve it further, you'll need rare materials, though restoring it to its former glory is unlikely, as the original runes were destroyed. However, if you truly wish to recreate the yin-yang 5-element sword formation, there is another way: wait for the Xianxian secret realm to open, which happens every 500 years. The sword formation's refining method resides within. Entering the Xianxian secret realm requires a nascent soul cultivation stage, and the realm doesn't appear every time. But for you, all this is still far off. Since you've obtained my natal weapon, it means we are connected by fate. I grant you my signature swordsmanship. The Purple Sun Sword is also a key to unlocking a treasure located in the Misty Forest. If you find your way there, the sword will react, and you'll find some of my treasures to aid your cultivation. Fated One, I have powerful enemies. Their strength is immense. Use my sword skills with care. If they discover you, only a miracle can save you. Remember that. The voice faded, leaving Lin Yi in a state of disbelief. He never imagined that choosing an ordinary sword could lead to such an incredible opportunity. The yin-yang Taoist's words confirmed Lin Yi's suspicions: a world of cultivators existed. He had to accelerate his plans to leave and stop wasting time. However, much of what the Taoist said was confusing. What were natal weapons, sword formations, runes, the Xianxian secret realm, or the nascent soul stage? How much more advanced was that compared to the Qi training stage? The more he thought, the more perplexed he became, yet also filled with excitement and yearning for the cultivator world. He looked forward to joining them soon. Looking at the Ziyang sword in his hand, it felt weightless. Now that it had recognized him, its lines were hidden, giving it an unremarkable appearance. But when he channeled his spiritual energy into it, it pulsed with earth-shattering power. With his current cultivation level, he couldn't even scratch the sword. An ordinary blade, he could easily destroy. If this was the state of a sword that had fallen so low, what must it have been like at its peak? Given the chance, Lin Yi was determined to rebuild the yin-yang 5-element sword formation. Where was the Misty Forest? What treasures awaited there? He felt the frustration of having a mountain of treasure he couldn't access. Then, swordsmanship flooded his mind. The yin-yang Taoist signature destruction sword art, a pinnacle technique in the cultivation world. It consisted of 6 stances, but only the first 2 were currently accessible. The remaining 4 would unlock as he advanced through higher realms. The first stance, Chasing the Day. The second stance, Dark Night. Each style had 4 levels: initial success, greater success, peak, and perfection. Lin Yi studied the destruction sword technique intensely. The first stance was proving difficult and would take time to master. The second was beyond his comprehension. He likely lacked the cultivation needed to grasp it. Since he couldn't immediately practice the destruction sword technique, Lin Yi picked up the biography he had borrowed from the bookstore and started reading. The biography was written by the second sect leader himself, Ding Hao. He had joined the sect at the age of 7, becoming a disciple of the first sect leader at 14. He was the same patriarch who had obtained the Ziyang sword. At 35, the first patriarch stepped down, and Ding Hao inherited the position. After becoming the sect leader, he never traveled to other regions. At the age of 21, Ding Hao embarked on a journey of travel. Chapter 33: The Steps of the Crowd. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding Hao chose a route northeast, which aligns with parts of Sect Master Fu's story. The main difference is that Ding Hao went through the second zone and into the third, Shuzhou, a true land of plenty. For martial artists, it's heaven for the strong, but hell for the weak. Once people go there, they don't want to leave. The environment is perfect for martial arts training, even the plants seem to have a spiritual quality. However, the sheer number of powerful individuals forces many to leave. Trying to travel alone without any backing is practically impossible. Many left Shuzhou reluctantly. Lin Yi found Ding Hao's journey fascinating. From the descriptions, the spiritual energy there is significantly richer than in other areas. Hangzhou has the weakest, the first area is a bit better, and it seems to gradually increase. He wondered if there were more areas beyond Shuzhou. After reading, Lin Yi had a better sense of direction for his own travels, a welcome change after being lost for so long. However, Ding Hao's notes still didn't mention any monks or their cultivation methods. Even in a place with richer spiritual energy, there were no monks. But this information suggested that the further in that direction he went, the richer the spiritual energy would be, and the closer he'd get to a cultivation world. That's what he had to search for, at least for now. Lin Yi's guess was right. This was just a mortal world. Even with higher spiritual energy, it was insignificant to monks and unsuitable for their practices. That's why there were no monks, unless some came from a lower realm. Lin Yi became a monk because of the mysterious beads he found, otherwise, he'd just be a mortal with a lifespan of a century before turning to dust. Lin Yi debated whether to practice the first form of the destruction sword technique, Zhuri, or the footwork, popular steps, that sect leader Fu gave him. After sorting everything out, the moon was high, and it was late. As a monk, Lin Yi rarely felt sleepy, but now he just wanted to sleep. He fell into bed and drifted off instantly, forgetting all his worries. The next day, Lin Yi woke up to a drizzle and cloudy skies. He didn't know what time it was. After getting up and tidying up, he craved a good barbecue. With his current cultivation level, catching a rabbit was easy. As he watched the fragrant meat roasting, his mouth watered. He devoured the rabbit quickly, but he still wanted more. It was his first barbecue in over 2 years. If he could, he'd venture deeper into the Qingmen mountains and hunt some larger beasts. Lin Yi was definitely turning into a foodie. After getting his mood right, he started practicing. The sword of destruction was too complex and would take time. Lin Yi started with the popular steps. Looking at the manual from sect leader Fu, Lin Yi wondered if the technique would even work for him anymore. It was meant for mortals. Even without body skills, they could become incredibly fast. It seemed impossible. Even so, Lin Yi had to see for himself if it was of any use. The manual explained that at the Xiaocheng realm, movement speed doubled. Reaching the Deshang realm increased speed by another 80% on top of that, and when reaching the peak, perfecting it. When cultivated to the state of perfection, the speed would be terrifying, increasing 5 or 6 times. However, it depended on one's physique. If the body could handle it, the speed could improve even further. Lin Yi was intrigued. Regardless of whether it would work, he would not waste a lot of time in cultivating the public. Now that he was a monk, his comprehension was vastly improved. He believed he could reach perfection without issues, and that state was the only one that could truly help him. As for his physical fitness, Lin Yi's body was unmatched. He looked forward to seeing just how fast he could become, certain it would be far beyond 5 or 6 times faster. Rainy days were a drag. He usually practiced on Yaofeng, where he could stretch out, but the drizzle kept him confined to a small cave. Opening the manual, Lin Yi was immersed in the popular steps. Each step was intricate, like a lotus blooming, a texture that was beautiful, natural, and in harmony with everything. Whoever created this technique was a genius, a mortal who had reached the pinnacle with terrifying understanding and creativity. Lin Yi also found what seemed to be a flaw. Maybe that's what restricted the technique and prevented it from reaching its full potential. This flaw troubled Lin Yi, as all he wanted was to be faster. Was it truly created by mortals? Perhaps not, or perhaps it was. The mortal world was vast, and perhaps there could be a few special beings. Just like when mortals became monks, monks could increase their lifespan. This was something that defied the natural order. The first day passed quickly. The cave was small, so even without body skills, Lin Yi could cover 30 meters in a step. He could barely practice body skills there, so he stepped out of the cave and into the drizzle, dancing with the rain. Anyone watching would have thought the scene was beautiful, but Lin Yi wasn't pleased. He'd reached the Xiaocheng level after only 1 day, but his speed hadn't improved at all. The only benefit was that he now had better control of his body. Lin Yi kept practicing. He aimed to perfect the popular steps. Another day passed, but he remained at the Xiaocheng level. His control over his body's speed was smoother, and he could do what he wanted. 2 days later, the sky was still overcast, and the rain continued. Lin Yi danced with the drizzle, but he couldn't break through to the Desheng realm. He didn't give up and kept trying. Finally, on the 5th day, Lin Yi broke through. He could truly control his body at will. If he fought an enemy now, he would have more confidence. Every time his body technique broke through a realm, his control over his body and speed improved even further. Chapter 34 Whistleblower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yi had mastered the crowd steps, but it didn't actually increase his speed. What it did do was give him incredible control over his movements. Another 3 days passed, and while Lin Yi's martial arts skills were now top-notch, his speed still hadn't improved. Looks like he was going to have to rely on that perfect state. While Lin Yi was training, things were changing on the outside. Those disciples who'd been kicked out of Zhiqing sect were now at the gates of Qingtian and Qingxian sects. Still bitter about being punished, they were ready to spill the beans about the vision at Yaofeng. They figured Qingtian and Qingxian were their best bet to make Zhiqing sect pay big time. The former disciples stood before the mountain gate. Hold it right there. Who's coming? A Qingxian sect guard yelled, stopping them. We have important info about Zhiqing sect, and we need to speak to your sect leader or an elder, one of them said. It's important. The Qingxian sect disciple squinted, trying to figure out if they were telling the truth. Got any proof to back that up? We know a shocking secret about Zhiqing sect, and they expelled us for it. Plenty of other Zhiqing sect disciples know about it too. The speaker's face twisted with resentment as he spoke through gritted teeth. The Qingxian disciple figured they probably weren't lying. While there hadn't been any major fights with Zhiqing sect lately, both sides wanted to be the top dogs in Hangzhou. Not wanting to make a decision himself, he decided to run it by his superiors. Wait here. I'll tell the sect what you said and let them decide. But you better be telling the truth. We swear, we're not lying. We wouldn't risk our lives for nothing. Soon, the disciple hurried back. Come with me. Thanks. They followed him quickly. They arrived at a main hall packed with figures, probably the elders of Qingxian sect. Seeing so many important people made them nervous. This could easily go south, and they could end up losing everything. Their legs felt like lead. The Qingxian sect disciple saluted a middle-aged man. Sect leader, I've brought them. This was Qin Feng, the current sect leader of Qingxian sect. Good. You're dismissed. Yes, sect leader. After the disciple left, Qin Feng gave the newcomers a sharp look. They were so intimidated by Qin Feng's gaze that they immediately lowered their heads, afraid to move. So, you're the ones who want to expose Zhiqing sect's secrets? Qin Feng's booming voice shook them, and they dared not lie. Sect leader Qin, we have something important to report. One of the disciples stepped forward, head bowed. Tell me everything. Leave nothing out. The disciple recounted everything that happened at Yaofeng, and the others backed him up. Then, they were taken away. Qin Feng listened intently, a thoughtful expression on his face. Elders, what do you think? An elder named Lu spoke first. Sect leader, I think they're probably telling the truth, but we need to investigate further. We can't rule out the possibility that Zhiqing sect is trying to trick us. Another elder agreed, I concur with Elder Lu, and we need to act fast. This is a golden opportunity. Plus, with our strength, even if it turns out to be real, we can handle it. Maybe we should team up with Qingtian sect. They debated the matter, going back and forth. Finally, Qin Feng said, all right. As everyone said, we'll send disciples to investigate the truth of their claims. At the same time, send some people to Zhiqing sect. The same scene was playing out at Qingtian sect, a storm was brewing in Hangzhou, history was about to be made. Meanwhile, Lin Yi took a step and covered 60 meters, doubling his previous speed. 25 days had passed, and he'd finally perfected the crowd steps. The perfected crowd steps didn't disappoint. Even though it was just a basic technique, it actually boosted his speed. But Lin Yi knew that as he got stronger, the effects would eventually wear off. He felt a little helpless, but a basic skill that doubled his speed was still something to celebrate. He'd worry about the future later. He believed things would work out. And if they didn't, he'd make his own way. The day to leave Juqing sect in Hangzhou was fast approaching. But before he left, Lin Yi wanted to finish one last thing, mastering the first form of the destruction sword technique. Looking at Yaofeng, he realized that practicing sword techniques here would probably level the whole place. Then, Lin Yi thought of the cliff from the last time. This was a great choice. At the same time, the Qingmen mountains were home to some tough beasts, which could help improve his swordsmanship and combat skills. Yaofeng was glowing with vitality. After weeks of rain, the sun finally came out the day before yesterday. Lin Yi gazed at the beautiful, peaceful Yaofeng and stepped out of the sect for the second time. Chapter 35 The Storm is Coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the same time Lin Yi left the sect, the disciples sent by Qingmen and Qingmen finally returned with their report. A gathering was underway in a hall of Qingmen. Some of those present were clearly not affiliated with Qingmen, judging by their attire. 2 middle-aged men occupied the head seats. One was Qin Feng, the leader of Qingxian sect, and the other was Gao Cheng, the leader of Qingtian sect. Gao Cheng said, "Qin, the vision emanating from Juqing sect's medicine peak has likely given them an incredible opportunity. Juqing sect is poised for rapid growth, which is a real kick in the teeth for both of us." Gao Cheng was a large and imposing man with a deep, resonant voice. Sect leader Qin nodded. "Gao, now that we know the score, let's drop the pretense and discuss countermeasures. Otherwise, we'll both be in deep trouble." Gao Cheng looked serious. "You're right. Our sects are facing a life-or-death situation. We need to eliminate this threat before Juqing sect reaches its full potential. Neither of us can pull this off alone. Only by joining forces can we hope to succeed." Sect Master Qin's eyes narrowed. "Agreed. This is about the survival of our sects, and we can't afford to show any mercy." He paused. "But we need a good excuse." Gao Cheng nodded, agreeing with Qin Feng. The people in the hall began to brainstorm, hoping to devise a foolproof plan. An elder stood and proposed, "The sects in the Qingmen mountains are in chaos right now. Our combined strength gives us an opportunity to form an alliance, ostensibly to strengthen the warriors of Hangzhou. We could use the alliance to pressure Juqing sect into surrendering. If they resist, we'll have a perfect excuse to attack." Qin Feng and Gao Cheng exchanged glances, a silent acknowledgement that this strategy wasn't viable. The relationship between their sects was too fragile. They were as wary of each other as they were of Qingmen. Who would lead such an alliance? Who would follow? And could they trust each other not to betray them? Time dragged on as suggestions were thrown around. Then, one of the elders spoke up, capturing everyone's attention. "Since the medicine peak is the source of the strange phenomena, let's exploit that. We all know those expelled disciples didn't discover any secrets. They were kicked out for trying to enter medicine peak without permission. They call it a forbidden area, and no one is allowed entry without approval. We can demand that Juqing sect open the medicine peak for the benefit of Hangzhou, allowing disciples to cultivate there. They'll refuse, of course, but other sects will support our demand. They're all watching, hoping for a chance at the medicine peak secrets." "Yes. Yes, that's a good one." Everyone nodded, approving the plan. Qin Feng and Gao Cheng exchanged a look and nodded in agreement. "Now that we have a plan, it's time to prepare and notify the other sections. Okay, let's take down Qingmen." The situation in Hangzhou was shifting, and Juqing sect was in mortal danger, but Lin Yi remained blissfully unaware. High on a cliff, a lone figure stood, sword in hand. It was Lin Yi, the once smooth terrain was now scarred with cracks, potholes, and scattered gravel, a complete mess. All of this was Lin Yi's doing. He was practicing the sword of destruction. Had he been in the Medicine Peak, the damage would have been far worse. Raising the Xiang sword, he saw its tip glowing, growing hotter and hotter. He thrust forward, the space in front of him shimmering. As the power surged, the space seemed to buckle, plunging the area into darkness. Fear spread in that darkness, but then a glimmer of light appeared, bringing a false sense of hope. But this was not salvation. This was death. There was no chance for redemption. The cliff was no more. Lin Yi stared at the destruction he had wrought. He hadn't realized the sword of destruction was so powerful. No wonder it had taken him half a month to master. He was still inexperienced with it, but with continued practice, he'd eventually wield it with ease. But Lin Yi felt a pang in his core. He hadn't realized the sword of destruction consumed so much spiritual energy. His core was almost empty. How would he replenish it? Absorbing the ambient spiritual energy would take forever. While thrilled with his new sword technique, he was also deeply troubled. Oh, man, not looking at the ravaged cliff, he wondered when he would return. He had to move on, find large beasts to fight and use them to improve his power. Lin Yi's eyes lit up at the thought of large, ferocious beasts, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. If the beasts could see it, they would tremble and curse him as more savage than them all. Lin Yi released his spiritual sense, searching for the nearest beast. Sect Master, what should we do? All the sects in Hangzhou are now aware of the strange phenomena occurring at Medicine Peak, an elder said, his face etched with worry. Sect Master Fu looked grim. Continue to monitor their movements and respond accordingly. After a pause, he added, from today onward, extend the sect's defensive perimeter to 50 miles. Yes, Sect Master. Everyone replied somberly. Who leaked the secret about the Medicine Peak's vision? Find them. Yes, we must find the traitor and bring them to justice. The elders said, gritting their teeth. Just then, a disciple rushed in, his face pale with panic. Sect Master. Qingxian sect and Qingtian sect are heading towards our sect. And those expelled disciples are with them. Sect leader Fu's expression turned grim. They were coming, as he expected. He didn't have time to worry about the expelled disciples now. Surviving this crisis was his only priority. But the elders were furious. So, it was them. I'll kill those beasts. Their eyes betrayed their anxiety. The future of the sect remained uncertain. Chapter 36 Gathering in 9 Qingmen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A huge crowd was heading toward Qingmen. More and more sects were preparing to leave, but some were still on the fence. They saw Qingmen as a monstrous wave, capable of easily crushing them like small shrimp tossed onto the shore. They were worried about missing a golden opportunity for their sects to rise. More importantly, failing to support the two major sects now could mean payback later, so, the vast majority of sects felt they had no choice but to follow Qingmen and Qingmen toward Qingmen. They knew Qingmen stood little chance against the combined might of the two major sects, making supporting them the safest bet. Led by Qingmen and Qingmen, the group was closing in on Qingmen's territory. Alright, everyone, stay sharp. We're entering Qingmen's area, so no one gets careless. Yes. Although the prospect of facing Qingmen made everyone a little anxious, seeing Qingmen and Qingmen gave them a boost of confidence. Up front, the leaders of both sects were looking in a specific direction. Sect Master Gao, Qingmen isn't far. Should we just charge in? Qin Fengyun asked calmly. Gao Qing didn't answer right away. He stared ahead, his face unreadable. After a moment, he said, Sect Master Qin, I think we should wait here a bit and regroup. Many sects are still on their way. Qin Feng studied Gao Qing, trying to gauge his true intentions. We could push forward. Why wait? Gao Qing smiled faintly. Sect Master Qin, don't overthink it. I'm just considering the big picture. The more sects we have, the more pressure we put on Qingmen, and the better our chances will be. If you say so. Qingfeng turned to his own people and said, Qingxian sect disciples, set up camp here. Tell the other sects to gather here. When the time comes, we'll all move on Qingmen together. Also, send out patrols to expand our perimeter. Yes, sect master, Gao Qing added, Qingtian sect disciples will follow sect master Qin's instructions as well. Yes, sect master. Inside Qingmen, an unusual silence had fallen. It was like a dark cloud hanging over everyone's heads, worried faces were everywhere. Some feared for the sect's survival, others for their own fate. But most of the Qing sect disciples were thinking about the sect. They were proud, and despite the odds of facing two top sects at once, they were ready to fight to the bitter end. In the Qingmen main hall, everyone sat tensely, the silence broken only when a disciple rushed in. Sect master, we have news from the front. Qingmen and Qingmen have stopped 60 miles out, but they haven't attacked yet. They're setting up camp there. How dare they? They're treating our Qing sect with contempt. They'll pay for camping outside our gates like that. A chorus of angry elders rose to their feet, indignant. They'd never been so humiliated. Sect master, we have to drive them out. Sect leader Fu's face was a mask. How many people did the two sects bring? He asked grimly. Sect master, the scouts estimate over 1,000. Qingfeng and Gao Qing are leading them personally, the disciple replied. The elders fell silent at the mention of Qingfeng and Gao Qing. This was beyond salvaging. Also, news is coming in that all the minor sects in Hangzhou are converging on our sect. This was too much for the elders. They jumped up, enraged. The nerve. The utter nerve. Those little gnats dare to bite us and rebel. They wouldn't have the guts without someone pushing them. Qingmen and Qingmen must have put them up to it. That's right, this all comes down to those two sects, another elder agreed. After this is over, we'll show those inferior sects the price of disrespecting Qing sect, an elder vowed harshly, but despite the tough talk, worry etched itself deeper on everyone's face. The situation was spiraling out of control. Sect master, what do we do? An elder asked. Sect leader Fu said, everyone prepare yourselves. Await orders. We'll see how things develop before we react. 60 miles away, the atmosphere was completely different. It was crowded with people, with more sects arriving all the time. The scene was impressive. In a makeshift tent, the Qingxian sect elders gathered around Qingfeng. What's the situation out there? Sect master, there's been no movement from Qing sect. But things are a bit odd with Qingtian sect. 15 sects have arrived, and 10 of them have gone to Qingtian sect, an elder replied. Sect master, we need to watch Qingtian sect. They seem to have been planning this for a while. Could Qingmen be using this opportunity to advance some bigger scheme? Qingfeng frowned thoughtfully. Gao Cheng's suggestion to camp here felt off, but his reasons sounded reasonable and undeniable. Could he be trying to win over more sects here? Sect master, we must be vigilant. Qingtian sect's intentions are clear. Maybe they want to use this chance to eliminate Qing sect and then destroy our Qingxian sect as well, the elder warned. Qingfeng asked, and where's their confidence coming from? Just those low-level sects. Besides. Chapter 37, Break Out of a Bright World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sect leaders right. A bunch of small-time sects can't really stir up too much trouble, one of the elders agreed. Qingfeng added, besides, if they were serious, they'd be doing this on the down low, not making such a big show of it. Maybe this whole thing is a smokescreen. There's something else going on, another elder suggested. Everyone paused, considering this. Silence filled the tent. After a moment, Qingfeng said, whatever the Qingtian sect is planning, it's pretty much impossible for them to wipe us out while also taking down the Qing sect. They can't conquer Qingmen without getting through us first. Still, we need to be on high alert and have people keep an eye on Qingmen. If anything looks off, we need to know right away so we can react. He looked at an older man. Elder Qi, I'm putting you in charge of this. I'm counting on you to dig up what's really going on. Elder Qi stood up, his gaze steady. Yes, sect leader. A few days later, more and more sects arrived, setting up tents so close together it was like a small city. The place was packed and buzzing with activity, probably the liveliest Hangzhou had ever seen. Some of the sects still had no idea what they were doing there, why things were taking so long. Neither of the main sects stepped up to explain, letting the tension build. Qingmen mostly watched Qingmen, trying to spot anything suspicious. At the same time, they kept sending disciples to ask when they'd be heading out for Qingmen. Meanwhile, in another tent, 3 figures were gathered. A white-haired elder said, "Sect leader, Qingxian sect has sent someone again." Another added, "The talk outside is getting louder, and we're hearing some grumbling from our own people too. I'm afraid if this drags on, the complaining will only get worse." Gao Qing said grimly, "I'm not worried about the small fries. What concerns me is whether Qingxian sect is manipulating that discontent and what they're really up to." The white-haired elder said, "Sect leader, if that's the case, the longer we wait, the worse it is for us. It'll only make Qingxian sect more suspicious." Gao Qing nodded, his face growing serious. He turned to the white-haired elder. "Supreme Elder, how much longer before that person gets here?" "About 3 days, the elder replied. 3 more days is too long. Looks like we can't wait. Let's head for Qingmen first. We can figure out how to stall them later." The 2 white-haired elders agreed. They couldn't afford to wait any longer, the situation could easily spiral out of control. No more delays. I'll let Qingmen know we're setting off immediately. Good, Gao Qing agreed. Once he'd made up his mind, there was no point in hesitating. Back at the Qingmen tent, Elder Qi reported, "Sect leader, Qingmen says it's time to go." Qin Feng didn't answer right away. "Elder Qi, have you noticed anything out of the ordinary these past few days?" "I stirred up some complaints on purpose, hoping Qingtian's sect would slip up and reveal something, but I haven't found anything. The tents where the Qingtian sect elders are staying are always guarded. We can't get close enough to find any clues." Elder Qi gave his honest assessment. Qin Feng nodded. "All right, let's go then. But Elder Qi, keep monitoring Qingmen's movements." "Yes, sect leader." A huge convoy set out towards Jiqing Gate, kicking up dust as they marched. Inside a large hall at Qingmen, updates were coming in constantly. "Sect leader, there are at least 60 sects, big and small, gathered at the entrance. Those little sects are itching for a fight, huh? We'll take them all on when the time comes." The elders were furious that such small fries dared to make demands. Suddenly, a disciple burst into the hall, looking terrified. His voice shook as he spoke. "Sect leader, they've already started moving and are heading toward our sect. At their pace, they'll be here in an hour." Sect leader Fu stood up, his face grim. "This sect has reached a moment of truth. Jiqing sect can't fall on our watch. It started from nothing, grew from weak to strong. It has never failed the test of life and death. It has wisdom, and even more courage to fight to the death. Jiqing sect stands on the top of Hangzhou. The sect's martyrs have the spirit of fighting with bright swords. Are we afraid?" Sect leader Fu looked everyone in the eye, his gaze burning with determination. "No. We won't back down, we won't surrender. We have the same fighting spirit as the sect's founders. Kill, 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 and build our own destiny. Kill. Kill." A chilling air spread through every corner of Qingmen, and the disciples' eyes glowed with a bloodthirsty light. A dense crowd, 1,000 strong, arrived at the foot of Qingmen mountain. Facing such a scene, the disciple guarding the mountain gate, though trying to stay calm, couldn't help the frantic pounding of his heart. He stepped forward. "Halt. This is Jiqing sect. What is your business here?" A Qingxian sect disciple pushed forward, snarling, "How dare you? Our sect leader is here. Get out of the way." Though frightened, the Jiqing sect guard stood his ground. This is Juqing sect territory. I'll have to report your sect leader's presence. The Qingxian sect disciple sneered. You. A lowly gate guard doesn't need to know the sect leader's business. Move aside now, or else. Before the guard could respond, sect leader Fu and several elders approached, wearing welcoming smiles. Greetings, sect leader. Greetings, elders. Sect leader Fu nodded, pleased with the guard's composure. Very good. What's your name? The guard replied quickly, Sect leader, I'm Huangshan. Sect leader Fu nodded. Well done, Huangshan. I'll take it from here. You're dismissed. Yes, sect leader. Chapter 38 Sharing the Peak of Medicine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sect leader Fu gave them a cold look. So, you've brought an army and a mob to our Juqing sect. What's the meaning of this? Gao Qing chuckled. Sect Master Fu, I think there's been a misunderstanding. For a top-tier sect to just leave other sects hanging like this? That's hardly hospitable. Someone else chimed in, didn't realize the Juqing sect was this arrogant. Guess everything I've heard is true. Yeah, had to see it to believe it. Juqing sect really thinks they're all that. Fu scoffed. If you're here as guests, Juqing sect will roll out the red carpet. But are you? Sect Master Fu, what are you talking about? Of course we're guests. Why else would we come all this way? You're seeing ghosts, Sect Master Fu. Fu said icily, you come visiting with your entire sect's forces? Aren't you worried something might happen back home? Sect Master Fu, we brought everyone to show our respect. Juqing sect is one of the top 3 in Hangzhou, after all. With Juqing sect's power, we're insignificant. Nothing to worry about. Fu stared at their shameless faces. Guests, huh? Did my sect invite you? Why are you here uninvited? He paused, then added sarcastically, besides, you think you're worthy enough to visit Juqing sect? Their faces flushed at that, Gao Qing spoke up. Sect Master Fu, all sects are created equal. Worthiness doesn't come into it. Qin Feng stepped forward too. Sect Master Fu, are you trying to make enemies of every sect out there? Has Juqing sect looked down on us all this time? The Juqing sect members glared, incensed. Qin Feng's words were inflammatory, designed to put them in a no-win situation. Fu looked at them coolly. Sect Master Qin, I don't even know where to begin. Juqing sect has been on good terms with everyone since day one. How could we be enemies? Qin Feng smiled thinly. If you want to be on good terms, why leave us out here and block our path? Fu replied flatly, no problem. But Juqing sect's grounds are too small to hold everyone. How about this? We'll start renovating immediately, expand the place, and then invite every sect to come and join us. Sound good? They obviously wouldn't agree to that, since they weren't here as guests. He said, Sect Master Fu, I heard about some amazing phenomenon happening at Juqing sect recently. Care to let us in on the secret? Fu feigned surprise. A vision? What vision? I haven't heard anything about it. Someone's playing you for a fool. Don't let them take advantage of you. Qin Feng pointed at a few individuals. These are disciples of Juqing sect. Are you saying they're lying? Fu looked them over, shaking his head. Sect Master Qin, you've really been duped. They've been kicked out. They're no longer disciples. They betrayed their masters. I don't need to tell you what their purpose is. They want revenge, and they want to drag you into it. I suggest you kill them immediately, or they will be used. These traitors want to damage your reputation. The accused disciples looked horrified. They knelt before Qin Feng and the others, pleading, there really was an amazing vision at Yaofeng that night. Everyone at Juqing sect can vouch for it. A Juqing sect elder exploded. You treacherous beasts. Deceiving your teachers and ruining our reputation. You dare show your faces again? I'll tear you limb from limb. You're a stain on Zheqing's sect. That the former disciples trembled in fear. Gao Qing stepped in, blocking the elder's path. No need to rush the executions. If there was a vision, we'll all find out soon enough. The Zheqing sect elder looked displeased. Sect Master Gao, I'm just cleaning up our trash. Please don't interfere. Gao Qing said calmly, they've been expelled. They're no longer your problem. Of course it's our problem. Even if they're not disciples anymore, they're spreading lies and need to be silenced. Gao Qing ignored him and turned to Fu. Like I said, if they're lying, I'll personally hand them over. Now, can you take us to Yaofeng? Fu said, Gao Qing, there's no way we can agree to that. Yaofeng is a forbidden area. No one from our sect is allowed in, let alone outsiders. Besides, what's this about a vision at Yaofeng? What's it to you? Gao Qing said, Sect Master Fu, we know this is difficult for you, but visions represent great opportunities. You've been around. Hangzhou is so backward. We should band together. Whatever's happening at Yaofeng could benefit every martial artist in Hangzhou. We could turn things around. Yeah, Sect Master Fu, Hangzhou is weak. If we get stronger, we'll all remember Zheqing sect's generosity. I swear, if Zheqing sect ever needs help, I'll be there. I'll give everything I have. Same here, everyone agreed. Fu said, everyone, we also want to see Hangzhou thrive, but the point is Zheqing sect has no power. Yaofeng has no so-called opportunity at all. They wouldn't back down. Qin Feng said, Sect Master Fu, if there's a chance, we'll find out. If not, we'll apologize on the spot. Fu said sternly, I've already told you, Yaofeng is a forbidden area. Absolutely not. Don't say another word. Qin Feng said, Sect Master Fu, rules are made to be broken. To benefit Hangzhou, we can make an exception. Fu said coldly, by that logic, you depose your Qingxian sect's founder and make yourself the leader? How dare you? Insulting our ancestors is unforgivable. The Qingxian sect members were furious. Chapter 39 The powder is ignited. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Zheqing sect guys stared them down. You want into Yaofeng? Over our dead bodies. You're asking for it, someone retorted. Fine by me. Another Zheqing sect elder chimed in, unflinching, you want to take us down? Think you're strong enough? He glared at the smaller sects hanging back. And you? One step closer, and you'll be hunted down by us forever. Hope you're ready to pay the price. That got the smaller sects sweating. If they didn't finish off Zheqing sect today, they were signing their own death warrants. Some were already regretting showing up. Seeing their hesitation, Qingxian sect jumped in. Whatever happens, we've got your backs. If Zheqing sect comes after you, they're coming after us, and everyone else. Fu, threatening us isn't gonna work. You will open Yaofeng today. Fu scanned the Zheqing sect members and roared, Zheqing sect disciples, where are you? Here. In perfect unison, the disciples surged forward, their presence enough to make the mountains tremble. They dare invade our sect. Kill. 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 The bloodlust in the air was thick enough to choke on, casting a shadow over everything. It felt like the world was about to be turned upside down in a river of blood under a darkened sky. The tension was insane, a spark away from total chaos. The air reeked of gunpowder, burning my nostrils, and I felt ready to explode. One sect, more than any other, didn't want things to escalate. Their plan wasn't ready yet, and they had to put a lid on things. Gao Qing stepped forward. Hold on, everyone. We're here for the good of Hangzhou, not for bloodshed and destruction. That would be a tragedy for everyone here, for all of Hangzhou. Everyone turned to look at Gao Qing. Qin Feng shot Gao Qing a hard look, muttering to himself, Qing Tian's sect's been acting weird this whole time. And now, even weirder. Gotta watch them every second, or they'll screw us over before we even get to Zheqing sect. Fu spat, this is all your fault, not ours. Qingmen ignored Fu, turning to Gao Cheng. Gao, what's your play? Gao Cheng said, Fu, how about this, 5 disciples and 5 elders from each of us, plus 1 sect leader, go head to head. First side to 6 wins takes it all. We can even throw in a sect leader duel for good measure, winner take all. We can spread the matches over 3 days, disciples fight on day 1, elders on day 2, sect leaders on day 3. If we lose, we back off Qingmen. If you lose, you open Yaofeng. Turn this down, and we go to war. Fu, you in? Fu didn't answer, needing to talk it over with his elders first. Fu pointed at Qingmen, looking at Gao Cheng and asked, and he agrees to this? Gao Cheng was improvising, and he wasn't sure if Qingmen would go for it. Plus, his odd behavior might have made Qingmen suspicious. But to buy time, he had to try. Qin, your thoughts? Qingmen stared at Gao Cheng, trying to read him. You owe me an explanation. Alright, I'll tell you everything later. Qingmen finally nodded. Gao Cheng turned back to Fu. Zheqing sect's decision, Fu said, can't answer now. Gotta talk it over with the elders. Give us a minute. Alright, but that minute better be just a minute. Humph. Fu snorted and led his elders back into the main hall. Gao Cheng said, you pick 10 disciples first. Qin and I will decide on the final 5. Qin, any objections? No problem. But you gonna give me that explanation now? Qin, this way. Inside Qingmen's main hall, everyone's face was grim. They were being pushed around, forced to accept these terms. When had Qingmen ever been so humiliated? Fu said, speak your minds. Sect leader, we can't compromise. It'd be a stain we'd never wash away. Right, no compromise. Calm down. I understand how you feel, but we can't gamble with the future of the sect. One wrong move, and we're finished. I agree. Straight up war's too risky. A tournament is better. If we win, it won't just be erasing the shame, it'll be a victory. One sect against the entire force of Hangzhou, and we win. That'd be something to be proud of, a huge boost to our reputation. That's fine, Elder Wu, but can we actually win? Absolutely. From disciples to sect leader, Zheqing sect doesn't lose to anyone. Everyone looked at Fu, waiting for his call. Chapter 40 The Disciple War breaks out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sect leader Fu paused, then said, I don't think we should start a war. We can't risk the lives of our disciples and the future of the sect. Even if things go sideways during the disciples and elders fights, I'm confident I won't lose the final showdown. He was confident and added, it'll be settled with a duel. Elder Bai, go inform them. Find the 5 strongest disciples in the sect. Meanwhile, elsewhere, 2 figures stood. Sect leader Gao, are you ready to talk? One asked. Gao Cheng smiled slightly. Sect Master Qin, I apologize for making a decision without consulting you. My intention is to avoid massive casualties on both sides. The Zheqing sect is strong. A full-blown war would devastate both our sections. But if we can defeat them fair and square in front of all the other sects, they won't have a leg to stand on if they try to back out. Then we can openly condemn them, and the other sects will support us. They won't hesitate to join us because we'll have a legitimate reason, unlike now, where our cause seems unjust. If we don't make our case, everyone will be too scared to act. Qingmen looked directly at Gao Cheng. So, you think you can win? Gao Cheng smiled mysteriously. Even if the disciples and elders' battles don't go our way, it's not a deal-breaker. In the final showdown between the sect leaders, do you believe you're destined to lose, Sect Master Qin? Qingmen replied, I hope it goes as you say. Of course. Qingmen turned and walked away. 10 disciples stood ready, each exceptionally talented and powerful. An elder announced, Sect Master Qin, Sect Master Gao, we've selected 10, here they are. Meng Hao, from the Qingtian clan, is 21 years old. He's trained for 15 years, possesses incredible strength, and has never lost a strength competition. Ji Sheng, also from the Qingtian sect, is 19. He's Sect Master Gao's prized disciple, a master swordsman with superb swordsmanship and fighting skills. He's known as the Invincible in the north. Sect leader Gao nodded. Good. Mu Lin, also from the Qingtian sect, is 23. He was once unknown, but recently, he's become known as the God of Death. I'm sure everyone's heard of him. He's decisive and inspires fear. Yang Qing, from the Qingxian sect, is 20 years old. Speed is his greatest weapon. His movements during battle are erratic, making him impossible to track. He's taken down numerous enemies. And finally, Qin Feng, from the Qingxian sect. He's sect leader Qin's most cherished disciple, the senior brother of the Qingxian sect. He's renowned as an unmatched swordsman, undefeated in his field. Sect leader Qin looked at his disciples, clearly pleased. Both sect leaders, here are the 10. Will you now decide on the final 5? The 10 disciples were eager, ready to compete. Qin Feng looked at Gao Cheng and said, Sect Master Gao, you choose first. Gao Cheng said, Sect Master Qin, for the sake of fairness, let's each nominate our 2 strongest disciples. That's 4 names right there. Then we'll each select one more at random, and the final spot will be decided by lottery. What do you think? Qin Feng nodded. Agreed, Sect Master Gao. And so, the 2 sides selected their disciples for the duel. The first day of the disciple battle was fast approaching. The arena was ready, with clearly marked sides. Gao Cheng stood and said, Sect Master Fu, these disciples are extremely talented. Any serious harm would be a setback for both of us. I'm sure you don't want that. Let's agree that these duels will be about victory and defeat, not life and death. We'll fight to a conclusion, but avoid fatalities. Sound good? Sect leader Fu responded impassively, but didn't object. He didn't want any casualties among his disciples either. Gao Cheng looked around at everyone. Now that everything's in place, let's get started. The disciple battle is about to begin. Sect leader Fu looked at the 5 Jiuqing sect disciples. Their eyes were determined, each wanted to be the first to fight, defeat the enemy, and defend the honor of the Jiuqing sect. He focused on one person and said, Chen Qing, you'll go first. Just remember to do your best and don't get cocky. Yes, sect leader. The disciple named Chen Qing stood, his eyes deep and his aura dangerous. Senior brother Chen Qing. The Jiuqing sect disciples erupted in cheers for Chen Qing, hoping he would crush his opponent in the first duel. Chen Qing walked toward the ring, his steps firm and his gaze unwavering. The opposing side also selected their first fighter. To everyone's surprise, it was a woman, neither tall nor short. She swayed, stopping near Chen Qing. Senior brother, I'm honored to be your opponent, she said politely. Her voice was charming. Chen Qing was taken aback. He hadn't expected a woman to be his opponent, and he'd never seen her before. However, Chen Qing didn't dare underestimate her. He became even more cautious. Being one of the 5 meant she had to be extraordinary. Relaxing his guard could be a fatal mistake.